that slaps.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to an episode of Still Slaps Music Reviews. I'm Shuby, songwriter and rapper here for Still Slaps. And today we have on deck a throwback review of the one and only John Mayer, Room for Squares. This album came out June 1st of 2001, so over 20-something years ago. I thought this would be a great review, first off, because I feel like John Mayer is one of those singer-songwriter performers altogether who is very much deserves his praise, deserves his accolades, and he's been pretty prominent and around for quite a long time now. He was actually I believe John Mayer was one of my first official concerts. I went and saw John with one of my best friends. We went and saw John over at the Darien Lake Stadium Center. I forget the name, is slipping me right now, but it was just such a great concert, and he was definitely up there with one of my first, and he put on a great show. Him and his band, they definitely solidified a spot in my heart after obviously hearing John's catalog. It's very refreshing to be able to go and see a performer like John Mayer with his trio, see them do what they did live, and that in itself segue into an album like Room for Squares, John Mayer's debut. I feel like this album is definitely a gold mine in John's catalog. It definitely is a strong, prominent start for someone like John, who at the time was in his 20s, and I think that that's very impressive for him to be able to have pulled something off like this with the team that he had to co-assist with the instrumentation and everything that really makes this album great. So for album slappers, let's get right into it. I've got No Such Thing, I've got Why Georgia, I've got My Stupid Mouth, I've got City Love, I've got Back to You, I've got Great Indoors, I've got Not Myself, I got 83, and I got Your Body is a Wonderland. So that's a pretty much a bulk of the album right there. A good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tracks. Like I said, this is to me what solidified John Mayer, his signature. John has a very beautiful voice. He's one of those male vocalists that when you hear for the first time, his voice is unique enough that you remember it. It's almost instantaneous. He was pretty much around. I heard John Mayer, his biggest songs, like Your Body is a Wonderland, was just everywhere. You heard John Mayer coming up. I'm 26 years old, so I was around when he was really gaining momentum, and when he was at his peak. I want to say which was probably around that Continuum era, and we will be doing a review for Continuum later on down the line. But I was definitely outside when John had the amount of buzz that he had. And I feel like I said, he's just got a signature tone. He's got a signature voice that really just flows like butter. When you hear it, when he flows in between on these vocals, with the flow, with the lyricism and everything like that, he's a great songwriter. So that obviously helps things. And just combine it with just, like I said, his buttery vocals, the way he is able to harmonize and float in between the flows and really give this pop bluesy atmospheric performance on these tracks. It's really refreshing to the ears, and it just always is gonna play out really well, especially in the summertime. This is a great listen. If you've never gotten into John Mayer, I think that this is a great introduction for you, because it's really gonna give you that intro, that throw into John's style of really kind of, like I said, it reminds me of just that bluesy pop. If you're not really into blues, if you're not really into the kind of like the jazzy jazzy style type of music, more of acoustic. John, this is a good start. This is a good start for you because it just really blends, like I said, the atmospheric instrumentation from the work that the co-performers did on this thing. It really does give this track list that boost. And then John, like I said, John's performance is so memorable, specifically with songs like No Such Thing, which is the very first track off of the album. It's a very, very great, strong intro. John, when he comes in with that just drop in his cadence, the "Welcome to my real world," she said to me condescendingly. It's just he has such a presence on this thing, and he doesn't shy back. He gives this nice balance of performance and duality between that and, like I said, the cadence, and it just sounds like you're hearing him perform live. And he really holds his weight in a bunch of other albums that he has, but specifically for Room for Squares, songs like No Such Thing, when you hear it on your radio or your MP3, and you go to hear it in a stage presence, it really does give you that sense of euphoria that John Mayer's vocals combined with his instrumentation and the acoustics. It really does give you what you need to have to really make that vision of seeing him for the first time. It gives you, like I said, that euphoria that you need and that you should have as a consumer going to see a performer, a brilliant songwriter, singer like John Mayer. So moving on, like I said, No Such Thing is a highlight. Why Georgia is also one of John's, in my opinion, strongest performances. He knows how to work with the build up of that guitar. He knows how to work with that atmospheric space that his instrumentation creates on his tracks. And like I said, you just don't forget his voice. For Why Georgia, that's such a strong hook in there. Am I living it right? Oh man, when you go to see that live, he performed that, like I said, at the concert that me and my boy Lowell went to, and it was just such a great experience, man. He really brings those vocals out and they hit hard. It's not just in the setting of the studio. He really does know how to enunciate and really give you that signature style that really makes you remember that it's John Mayer. And I love that about Why Georgia. I also appreciated on this album, you really do get a sense of, in the lyricism, you get a sense of John's sense of humor. He has a very output of sense of humor in his lyricism, and that's something that if you don't really pay attention to through the lyrics on this thing, you're gonna miss it. The title for the album is Room for Squares, and the album's content, aside from talking about lovers and that things and all that stuff that a 20-something-year-old is gonna be talking about, he does touch on a lot of more introspective lyrical content. Some of those things come out on songs like Not Myself. Some of that comes out on Great Indoors. Some of that, like that little quirky lyricism that he throws in there. And then on My Stupid Mouth is probably one of the more obvious ones that you're going to really hear that kind of that sense of humor. I really do enjoy that because as lyricists, sometimes you forget to add that personal quality to your music that really gives the audience something to kind of relate to as a human. And obviously, you're a human doing the performances, but it can be very, very easy to fall into a habit of not really giving the listener not really giving the listener something to latch onto that's yourself. And what John did on this project with his lyricism, he was able to give the listeners, if you're not into him, this was my first album listening to John Mayer for an album all the way through years ago. This was my first time listening to a full project of him. I started right here at Room for Squares, and like I said, one of the reasons that it's a great start is because John does such a good job of giving you himself in the track list, in a very, very humorous way. Like I said, he was in his 20s at the time when he penned this album, and it's good to have that refresher quality. So it reminds me as a songwriter to definitely incorporate that in my own songwriting. Ask myself, how can I give a performance, and at the same time, how can I give a performance that's unique to myself? You know, can I add in a little something of my personality that's going to stand the test of time, like an album like this? So this, like I said, this album, it doesn't really have any bad tracks, I would say. All I have to say in regards to criticism, you do start to lose, in my case, I don't really find myself remembering songs like 3x5 and Love Song for No One. I think those type of songs, you know, you're getting more towards the down, the down progression of the album, more of the closer of the album. They feel like filler tracks. I don't feel like John Mayer necessarily did any wrong on this project. I just feel like with certain tracks, when you get used to him and you're really into it, some of the material can feel a little bit like a blur. Like the material can blur in between. They can blur together. Really to the point where you're gonna have a hard time making the distinction of, okay, well, what do I remember outside of his really, really big songs like No Such Thing, Why Georgia, Your Body Is a Wonderland, you know, because those are just really, really, they're hitters. They're hitters on a track list like this. And like I said, it's not that John did wrong. It's just when you're used to it, and he has that atmospheric kind of hypnotic vocalization on his tracks, you're going to get to a point where there's going to be just a couple of songs, and in this case, it's a good thing that it's only a couple of songs that I found myself not really. I had to kind of revisit them because I didn't remember them off of even my second or third listen. So I just really find that to be one of the key things about this album that's noteworthy of criticism. Just that the songs, like I said, the content can find itself blurring together with a couple of songs that kind of feel like filler. But you know, all in all, this is a great project. I plan on reviewing more of John's catalog further down the line. This was the anniversary for this release, so I definitely wanted to shoot this review and get it out to you guys. Let me know, guys, have you ever heard of John Mayer? Well, I mean, if you haven't, you must be really, really young. This guy's been around for quite some time now, and he's got huge records. So if you have, what is your favorite John Mayer song? Leave it in the comments below. Guys, please consider donating to the channel via my Cash App in the link below. Please consider subscribing. Please consider putting the notifications on. We've got more content coming, more reactions, more reviews, and more importantly, more original music from myself. If you like what you're hearing in the links below, you'll be able to follow through and go and enjoy them on their separate pages. Please leave a follow, please leave a like, and also, guys, don't forget to keep your notifications on. Thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. I'm Shubian, songwriter here for Still Slaps. John Mayer, Room for Squares, 20-something years later, still slaps. Thank you guys. Have a good day. Peace.